Ella Morgan sits in a quiet courtroom, hands folded, heart thudding. She is 26, a brand new nurse with big dreams and tired eyes after a night shift. Across from her sits Aunt Paula Reed, neat suit, tight smile, and a folder thick with papers. The judge looks down from the bench. Mrs. Reed, your claim is for $100,000? Paula's lawyer rises. Yes, Your Honor. Reimbursement for 5 years of care. Ella stares at the total and swallows. 100,000, she whispers. Her friend Jasmine squeezes her shoulder. Ella's lawyer murmurs, breathe. We'll tell your story. Ella keeps her gaze steady. I'm ready, she says quietly. In her mind she hears her mother's voice. Keep going, Ellie. Keep shining. The bailiff calls for order. Paula glances at Ella and says under her breath, You owe us for everything. Ella answers calm and plain, I don't owe you my childhood. The judge nods for opening statements, and the old years begin to rise like a tide. Before courtrooms and invoices, Ella's world was warm and small. Her mom Grace was a nurse who came home smelling like hand soap and peppermint gum. Guess what happened today? Grace would say, kicking off her shoes. We helped a tiny fighter breathe on her own. On Saturdays they baked cookies. More chocolate chips, Ella would insist. Doctor's orders, Grace laughed, tapping Ella's nose with flour. Sundays were for the park and the library. Education is the one thing no one can take from you, Grace said, sliding a library card across the counter to little Ella. On Ella's 10th birthday, Grace brought a children's medical kit. You'll wear the real one someday, she promised. Ella pressed the plastic stethoscope to Grace's chest. I hear you, she giggled. Grace kissed her forehead. Good. Always listen. To hearts. To truth. To yourself. Their apartment walls were covered with drawings and A grades, held up by fruit-shaped magnets. It wasn't fancy, but it was love, and it was enough. The summer Ella turned 12, Grace came home slower. Just tired, she said. But the cough stayed. The weight slipped. One afternoon Grace sat on the edge of the bed and took Ella's hands. We're going to the doctor, she said. The neighbor, Mrs. Thomas, kept Ella busy with a science project while Grace went alone. When the door opened again, Grace's smile didn't reach her eyes. Stage 4, she whispered. We'll face it together. Life flipped. Ella learned pills and times, wrote charts in a small notebook, and stirred soup that she barely tasted. At night she read aloud until Grace slept. You're so strong, Ellie, Grace murmured. Promise you'll keep going. I promise, Ella said, voice shaking. The hospice nurse began visiting. One quiet Tuesday, just 3 weeks after Ella's 13th birthday, Grace's hand went still in Ella's small fingers. Mom, Ella whispered. The nurse found her an hour later in the same chair. The funeral blurred by black clothes, soft hands, and words that felt like air. At the funeral, Paula Reed, Grace's younger sister, appeared in a dark dress and careful perfume. I'll take care of her, Paula told the social worker, palm on Ella's shoulder. Grandma lived in senior housing and couldn't keep a child. Papers were signed. Boxes were taped. In Ella's favorite book she found a letter from Grace. Remember who you are. Storms will come. You will stand. Ella tucked it into her pocket. The drive to Paula's house took 3 hours in a shiny SUV. Paula talked about better schools and a fresh start. The Reed home was big and bright with white columns and a perfect lawn. Uncle Jack nodded hello and returned to his home office. Cousin Cassie, 15, smiled without warmth. Your room is down the hall, Paula said, opening a door to a small plain space. We can add color later, she added, already walking away. That night at dinner, Paula served roast chicken and rules. Curfew is 9. Bathroom time is scheduled. Chores rotate. Cassie scrolled her phone. Do I have chores? She asked. We'll see, Paula said. Ella kept her eyes on her plate and said, Thank you for letting me stay. The change crept in like fog. By the end of the first week, Ella had a list. Dishes, floors, bathroom, laundry. In this house everyone contributes, Paula said, handing over a toilet brush. Cassie wandered to the pool with headphones. At school, Ella was placed in regular classes though her old files showed honors. Let's not rush, Paula told the counselor. She's had a shock. When Ella needed new shoes, Paula sighed. Money is tight. Your mother left nothing. At the store, Cassie picked a designer backpack. Ella got a plain binder and dollar store pens. That night, through thin walls, Ella heard voices. The survivor checks barely cover it, Paula said. Teens eat like wolves. Jack answered, she's family. Paula's voice sharpened. Family is expensive. Ella pressed Grace's letter to her chest. And at the kitchen table she whispered, I'll make you proud, Mom. Then she opened her notebook, drew a tiny stethoscope in the margin and began to plan, study, save and survive. No one heard her promise but the walls, and they kept her secret. Weeks turned into months. Ella learned the house's rhythm. Paula's heels at 6 a.m., Jack's office door closing at 8, Cassie's laughter around midnight. One Saturday, Paula spread new school supplies on the table for Cassie. A laptop, a tablet, pastel markers in a zip case. Then she slid a tiny bag toward Ella. Pens. Be careful, they dry out fast. Ella nodded. Thank you. After dinner, Paula stopped her at the sink. Also, showers under 5 minutes. Water isn't free. Ella glanced at the backyard where sprinklers misted the grass for an hour. She bit her tongue. Later, a letter on the counter caught her eye. Social Security Administration. Paula tucked it into her purse when she noticed Ella looking. Mail is private, she said briskly. That night Ella whispered into her pillow, I can do this. In the morning she scrubbed the bathroom grout and timed her shower with a kitchen timer. When Cassie swept in complaining, the mirror is streaky, Ella simply wiped again and kept quiet. Small things. Keep the peace. Study later. School felt like walking into a movie already playing. Ella sat alone at lunch until a tall girl with kind eyes paused. You're Ella, right? I'm Jasmine. Want to sit with us? At the table a teacher passed by and tapped Ella's folder. Honors work, he asked. I was in honors before, Ella said. I'd like to try. Ask the counselor again, Jasmine urged. After classes, Ella went to the library instead of going home. She read biology chapters twice, copied formulas, and whispered definitions under her breath. When she returned, Paula stood by the door. Late. Library, Ella answered. Studying. Paula's mouth tightened. Next time inform me. And the baseboards need dusting. Ella smiled a small tired smile. I'll do them now. In the hallway she touched Grace's letter in her pocket. Remember who you are. The next day, Jasmine waved across the cafeteria. Ella waved back and something inside her loosened just a little. By spring, Ella found a part-time job at Sweet Blossom's Bakery. The owner, Mrs. Garcia, wore bright scarves and a steady smile. Can you frost cupcakes? She asked. I can learn, Ella said. Good answer. You're hired. The first paycheck felt like air in her lungs. She slid the envelope into her backpack and headed home. Paula waited at the kitchen island. I hear you're working, she said. That's too mature. Since you now have income, we'll teach you responsibility. Room and board, $300 a month. Ella blinked. $300. Jack looked up, winced and looked down again. It's fair, Paula said smoothly. Adults pay their way. Ella nodded once. Okay. In her room she calculated quietly. Bus fare, school supplies, phone minutes, now rent. At the bakery that weekend, Mrs. Garcia noticed the shadows under her eyes. You eat yet? She asked, handing over a warm roll. On the house. Ella held it like a gift. Thank you. You're a hard worker, Mrs. Garcia said. Keep showing up. Doors open for people who do. One rainy Tuesday the last bus pulled away as Ella ran to the stop. She stood dripping under the dim streetlight, backpack heavy, shoes squeaking. A sedan rolled to the curb. Ella. Mrs. Jackson, the AP biology teacher, leaned over to open the passenger door. Get in before you catch pneumonia. The car smelled like peppermint and chalk. You're in my general bio class, Mrs. Jackson said, glancing over. You answer like a scientist. Ella smiled, surprised. I want to be a nurse. Like my mom. Mrs. Jackson's voice softened. Then aim high. Honors. Clubs. Shadowing. We'll build the path. Outside Paula's house, Mrs. Jackson hesitated. If you ever need to talk about classes or anything, my room is open at lunch. Ella nodded. Thank you. Inside, Paula stood with crossed arms. Late again. Missed the bus, Ella said. No excuses. Fold laundry. Then practice tests at the table. I'll be timing you. Ella did the laundry, then opened her book and studied until the words blurred. She didn't cry. She planned. The planning turned into action. Ella asked the counselor again. Honors biology, please. Given your situation, the counselor began. Given my scores, Ella said, placing a stack of perfect quizzes on the desk. A week later she was moved up. Mrs. Jackson clapped softly when Ella walked in. Welcome to the lab. After class, Ella stayed behind. I wanted to ask, are there scholarships? Mrs. Jackson's eyes warmed. Many. But we need stories, grades, service. Join Health Sciences Club. Volunteer Sundays at the hospital if you can. At home, Ella mentioned the hospital. Paula frowned. Gas costs money. I'll take the bus, Ella said. And I'll still do my chores. Paula sighed. Fine. But family dinner is at 6. Don't be late. On Sunday, Ella stood at the pediatric wing's front desk, visitor badge crooked, heart steady. Hi, she said to the volunteer coordinator. I'm here to help. She left that day with sore feet and a full heart. She wrote the shift hours into her notebook like bright coins. Summer brought heat and small victories. Ella earned a tiny raise at the bakery. Mrs. Garcia taught her to pipe roses. Steady hands, steady breath, she said. Good for nurses. At home, a stack of envelopes grew. Essay statements, bank notices, insurance ads. All sealed, all swept into Paula's purse. One afternoon while cleaning, Ella bumped Paula's handbag and papers spilled. An SSA letter addressed, Guardian of Ella Morgan. Ella gathered everything quickly. A number caught her eye. $1,235 monthly. Her breath hitched. Paula walked in. What are you doing? Nothing. It fell. Paula snatched the mail. Don't snoop. That night, Ella pulled Grace's letter out again. You will stand. She opened a new page in her notebook. Questions. She wrote, what is survivor benefit? Who is it for? Under that she wrote the hospital volunteer hours, the bakery schedule, and a line in bold. Scholarships. Junior year turned sharp and bright. Ella joined Health Sciences Club, helped with blood drive signups, and logged every hospital volunteer hour. Cassie rolled her eyes at dinner. Why do you act like saving the world? Ella sipped water. Because someone did that for me once. Paula tapped a bill. And who pays for your meals? The electric? This house isn't charity. Jack cleared his throat. Paula. She ignored him. Also, from now on, please contribute for utilities. You take long study showers. Ella kept her gaze level. 5 minutes. Fine, Paula said. 200 more. We'll call it utilities. Ella nodded once, then found extra shifts. At lunch one day, Ella went to Mrs. Jackson's room and told her everything. The rent, the utilities, the SSA letter with the number. Mrs. Jackson's jaw set. Start documenting. Take photos when you can. Email them to yourself. And we're going to hunt scholarships like it's our job. Opportunity met preparation. Ella wrote essays between bakery shifts and chemistry labs. Mrs. Jackson marked them with green pen. Sharper opening, she'd say. More you. On a sleepy Saturday, Ella needed a stapler and slipped into Jack's office to borrow one. A folder sat crooked in the drawer. Ella. She froze. Inside were years of bank statements and SSA summaries. Regular deposits labeled child survivor benefit. A separate page listed a life insurance payment and a small inheritance from Ella's grandparents. The totals made her sway. She snapped quick photos with shaking hands, put everything back exactly, and walked to her room on careful feet. In bed, she emailed the images to herself and Mrs. Jackson with a single line. Keeping records like you said. She lay awake until dawn, not from fear now, but from clarity. The money was meant for her care. Why did she feel like a thief for eating dinner? Senior year arrived with crisp notebooks and quiet resolve. Ella balanced AP classes, hospital hours, and the bakery. She stopped asking Paula for anything. When college mailers came, Paula said, "Community college is cheaper." Ella smiled politely and kept writing. In November, Mrs. Jackson slid a list across her desk. These are full-ride nursing scholarships. Deadlines soon. Ella applied to all of them. She revised essays on the bus, at the bakery, at the kitchen table after dishes. Cassie twirled a car key and said, "Mom, can I get the new model?" Mine rattles. Paula brightened. We'll look this weekend. Ella folded dish towels and whispered, soon. In April, a thick envelope arrived addressed to Ella Morgan. She reached the mailbox first, hugged the envelope to her chest and read on her bed, full tuition, housing, meals, book stipend. Her hands shook as she called Jasmine. I got it. Jasmine shrieked. You did it. You're free. Ella pressed Grace's letter to her heart and whispered, we did it, Mom. Graduation day was blue sky bright. Jasmine's family cheered. Mrs. Garcia waved a bakery box and cried, for Nurse Ella. Mrs. Jackson hugged her tight. Proud doesn't cover it. Ella scanned the crowd. No Paula. No Jack. No Cassie. After the ceremony she turned, and there they were walking toward her in careful smiles and pressed clothes. We brought a gift, Paula said, handing Ella a thick envelope. Open it. Inside was not a card but an invoice on Paula's stationery. Room and board, clothing, school supplies, medical transportation. At the bottom, a red circle around $100,000. Ella's stomach dropped. What is this? She asked. Paula's smile hardened. Reality. You owe us for raising you. We'll set up a payment plan. Ella folded the paper, voice steady. No. Survivor benefits. Difference. Inheritance. That money was for me. Paula's eyes flashed. Barely covered food. Ella met her gaze. I kept the records. A breath of wind lifted the tassel on her cap. She stood taller. I don't owe you my life. 3 days after graduation, an envelope arrived at Ella's small apartment. The return address read Daniels and Associates, Attorneys at Law. Hands trembling, she opened it. Inside was a formal letter. Our client, Mrs. Paula Reed, seeks reimbursement of $100,000 for expenses incurred in raising you from 2012 to 2017. Please respond within 30 days to arrange payment. Ella's chest tightened. She's serious, she whispered. Jasmine grabbed the paper. She's insane. Ella called David, her boyfriend. He listened, then said firmly, don't answer her. My dad knows a good lawyer. I'll set up a meeting. Ella sank onto the couch. She's suing me like I'm a stranger. David replied, you're not alone anymore. The next day Ella walked into Marcus Wright's office, a family lawyer with kind eyes and shelves stacked with case files. He read the letter slowly, brows furrowed. This is unusual. Guardians don't sue children they raised. And especially not when survivor benefits were involved. He tapped his pen. Did you say she got $1,200 a month for 5 years? Yes. Plus insurance. Plus inheritance. I have proof. Ella slid the photos across the desk. Marcus leafed through them, nodding. Good. Very good. These are strong. She didn't just fail her duty, she may have committed fraud. Don't panic. We'll file a counterclaim. Ella exhaled for the first time in days. The courthouse loomed tall and cold on the morning of the trial. Ella wore a navy dress and her mother's pearl earrings. David and Jasmine walked with her, silent anchors at her side. Across the hall, Paula sat stiff in a cream suit, Cassidy whispering in her ear, Jack avoiding eye contact. Paula's lawyer smiled like he'd already won. Marshall versus Reed, the bailiff called. Judge Harriet Woodson, stern but calm, took her seat. Paula's lawyer began smoothly. My client opened her home, sacrificed her resources and now seeks fair repayment. He painted Paula as a saint. Paula dabbed her eyes for effect. Ella's stomach churned. Then Marcus stood. His voice was steady. Your Honor, this is not about repayment. This is about misuse of funds. We have records showing Mrs. Reed received nearly $190,000 in benefits, insurance, and inheritance. Money intended for Ella Morgan's care. Instead, Ella wore second-hand clothes, paid rent from a part-time job, and was denied orthodontic care. Mrs. Reed now demands an additional $100,000. The judge raised her eyebrows. Do you have documentation? Marcus held up a folder. Every dollar, Your Honor. A murmur spread through the courtroom. Paula shifted in her seat, lips pressed tight. Paula took the stand first. We gave her everything, she said tearfully. She would have gone to foster care if not for us. Do you know how much teenagers cost? Groceries, school, gas, it all adds up. Her lawyer held up the invoice. See here, braces, tutoring, sports. Ella leaned forward. I never had braces, she whispered to Marcus. He nodded, scribbling. When it was his turn, Marcus asked calmly, Mrs. Reed, can you explain why your invoice lists tutoring when Ella's school records show no such service? Paula blinked. We considered it. And the sports equipment? Marcus pressed. Paula faltered. Well, she could have joined. Next, Ella testified. She spoke quietly, but each word was sharp. I was told to pay $300 rent from my bakery job. I wore hand-me-downs while my cousin got new clothes. I wanted to apply to colleges, but my aunt said the fees were too expensive. I found survivor benefit letters, over $1,000 a month, every month. None of it reached me. Mr. Daniels, Paula's lawyer, sneered. Ungrateful, isn't it? They kept you from foster care. Don't you think you owe them? Judge Woodson cut him off. Counsel, a child does not owe her guardian for basic necessities. Proceed properly. Marcus laid the documents on the judge's bench. Survivor benefits, $74,000. Life insurance, $65,000. Inheritance, $15,000. 5 years total, nearly $190,000. All deposited into Mrs. Reed's accounts. None reserved for Ella. Judge Woodson flipped through the papers, her expression hardening. Mrs. Reed, is this true? Paula stammered. Household costs, bigger house, extra bills. Enough, the judge interrupted. You received ample funds for this child's care. Instead you demanded she pay you. And now you sue her for another $100,000. Paula's voice dropped. She owes us. Judge Woodson's gavel cracked. No, Mrs. Reed. She owes you nothing. The judge's ruling came swift and sharp. The plaintiff's claim is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, this case is referred to the district attorney for review of potential misuse of federal survivor benefits and breach of fiduciary duty. Gasps filled the courtroom. Ella covered her mouth, tears spilling. Marcus whispered, we won. David squeezed her hand. Jasmine whispered, you're free. Paula sat frozen, face pale, Cassidy's phone buzzing non-stop in her lap. Jack stared at the floor, shoulders heavy. For the first time in years, Ella felt taller, lighter, unchained. Outside the courthouse, sunlight bathed the steps. Marcus asked, do you want to pursue civil recovery of the funds? Ella shook her head. No. I don't need her money. I just wanted the truth out. David wrapped his arm around her. Then it's over. Behind them, Paula's lawyer argued with her in low, angry tones. Jack approached slowly. Ella, he said, voice rough. I'm sorry. I should have stopped her years ago. I should have protected you. Ella studied his face. You let her treat me like a bill to be paid. Jack swallowed hard. You're right. And I'll carry that. He walked away, looking older than ever. That night, Ella sat on her balcony with Grace's letter in her hand. The city lights blinked like stars. David brought her tea, Jasmine texted a string of heart emojis, and Mrs. Jackson sent one line, proud of you always. Ella whispered into the evening, I kept going, Mom. Just like you asked. She folded the letter gently. The past was behind her now, not erased but named and faced. Ahead waited her patience, her future, and her own family she would choose and build with love. The aunt's lawsuit was dismissed, but Ella's true victory was larger. She had broken free from years of burden and proved her worth was never measured in dollars. Moral lesson. True family isn't the one that counts your cost, it's the one that sees your value. Love and dignity cannot be invoiced, and healing begins when we stop carrying the debts others place on us. What would you do? Choose forgiveness or walk away? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more stories of betrayal, revenge, and healing. Your support helps this channel grow.